So, Mrs. Miller-Tinker, you teach 5th grade English at Westfield Intermediate School, is that correct?
Fifth grade language arts and social studies.
Okay. And what do you believe should be the aims of schools or role of schools in a democratic society?
Well, ideally, obviously just to educate children and make them productive members of society. But I think that a lot of that depends. You have to obviously meet the children where they are, and sometimes that learning isn't the top priority at that time. Sometimes it's making them feel safe and giving them a snack, things like that. So, but I think ideally it's to educate students, make them productive members of society, and just enable them to feel like they can learn and yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because that actually leads into my next question. What should be the qualities of an educated learner?
Qualities of an educated learner. So someone who has already been through some education and how they're going to learn. Well, I mean, again, in an ideal situation, you have students that are ready to learn when they get to school. You have also students that have supportive families so that they have a support system that works both at school and at home. Open-mindedness would be a great help in both the student and the family, and I would just say a willingness to learn.
Very good. And do you think that should be the student's role in this system?
I think that's asking a lot of most fifth graders anyways.
Yes.
I think that's asking a lot of elementary students in general. I think that definitely as they progress through the education system, that's something that I think good school systems kind of instill in students so that when they are ready to kind of leave the nest of the high school level and go on to college, that I think if you've received a good education, and I'm a public school teacher, so I think that public
Yes.
school is definitely providing good education. I think that those are qualities that great learners can have. Now that looks different for a kindergartner than it does for a 12th grader, right?
True.
And so what that looks like is obviously dependent on their age and their background, just because again, I have students that my goal for them every day is to feel safe and loved, and that is my goal that day. If learning can happen, then that's fantastic. But if it can't, if they can leave knowing that I have accepted them, loved them, and they have been safe for those hours at school, then I've done my job and they've done theirs too.
And do you believe that should be the teacher's primary role?
Absolutely. You have to meet the children where they are. I'm thinking of a couple of my students in particular. If I sat them down first thing in the morning and said, okay, I am going to teach you about complex sentences and how to use them in a perfect narrative, or if I sat them down and said, all right, today we are going to learn everything we can about our government and how the Constitution was written, they're going to shut me down. But if I meet them where they are, find out how their night went, how their morning went, did they have breakfast, give them a hug. You have to meet them where they are. If we can accomplish those goals, right? Hierarchy, right?
Yes.
If you can accomplish those goals, then you can move the next step up. But if they're not fed and got a good night's sleep and are not feeling safe or not feeling appreciated, then I can't go to that next level. And so what is the teacher's role? The teacher's role is to meet each student where they are. And a lot of times we use that terminology for educational level, but we also have to have it for emotional levels, safety levels, before we can proceed to learning.
All right. And I guess my final question would be, what do you think is worth knowing?
What do I think is worth knowing as a teacher, as an educator, or like what do you?
I guess from both a teacher's perspective and a student's perspective.
Oh geez. Well, I think students, if you instill in them a belief that they, well, and I think that it's important for a teacher to believe this too, is that everyone can learn. It doesn't look the same for everybody, it doesn't happen at the same speed for everybody, but everyone, no matter what, can learn something on a daily basis. You know, even my students teach me things on a daily basis. So if we believe, as both a teacher and a student, that everybody has the capability of learning, then we're setting ourselves up for good things.
All right. Well, thank you, Mrs. Motinker, for your time.